Mike Reagan, how are you, sir?
Good, sir. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Good to see you again.
Well, good to be seen. What's happening?
Oh, not a whole lot, just hanging out and running our mouth and drinking a little bit of beer, normal stuff on a Sunday.
Yeah, right on. Well, I thought you did that on every day that ended in Y.
I do, but people only see it, on Sundays. Try to
Gotcha.
keep it hidden. But,
Understood. So you drink less beer on Sundays.
yeah, we got to keep it civil.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah, I can't live like a crazy person on the internet every day. So,
I understand.
how's things been going with you?
Good.
Good.
Good. Yeah,
That's
stay busy. Parts out the wazoo.
that is true. I need to order some parts from you actually. So, taking a little list of passenger car bases I need today for Santa Fe cars.
Gotcha. Well, diving into 12 boxes of Santa Fe Northern parts. Every time I finish a box, I open another box up and find more stuff that I just put in the other box. So
Yeah,
it's a never-ending nightmare.
right on, right on. What else has been going on with you? Still with doing? Are you doing all of the part stuff, or do you still have help from Pat?
Pat helps out from time to time. We usually when we go to Maryland, Pat will run up with me,
Okay.
and we just meet at my sister's house. He's only like 2 hours from there, so he runs up there. We run up to Maryland and spend a weekend up there, just crushing parts that are too big to bring back here to North Carolina.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
last time we were up there, we knocked out a bunch of Rail King 1 gauge engines. Got a bunch more to go. Probably about the second week of April or so. So
Now, I do have a question before we get started here. Are you so like when parts run out of like when you run out of parts, are they remaking them or is that it?
yeah, we can get more. We
Okay.
MTH still has really good relationship with the factories, and the factories. It's surprisingly enough, the factory has a ton of parts on hand. You know,
Okay.
Mark will reach out and say, "Hey, do you have any of these pilots?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, we got 36 of them." So we can. It's actually pretty surprising how many parts are in stock at the factory that we can reorder when we need them.
Right.
And then things like those diecast arch bar trucks are in high demand. So we had to reach out for that. That they had no quantity on hand, so we had to order like 400 of them, and I don't even know when they're coming, but they've been on order since like November. So
Um, do you guys carry like detail parts for tank cars? Like like they have the little walkways around the dome.
yeah,
Um,
freight cars are really hit and miss. I mean that kind of stuff. If you dig around the site, you could probably find something here and there, but as a rule of thumb, it's basically just trucks, couplers. Like reefers. I'm pretty sure we've got some reefer steps, the stuff that low hanging fruit that
yeah.
breaks off. But walkways and boxcar doors and door slides and stuff like that, typically not.
That
Pretty much the focus is locomotives and accessories.
that was a personal question for me. I got tank cars; they're missing walkways. So,
I got you. I got you. Yeah.
oh man. So you may pull your website up for you, or you want to do it?
I can do it.
Okay. Either
Let's
way.
see. I guess you're gonna disappear, or yeah, you're gonna disappear for a minute.
Yeah, maybe. Mike, question here for you: does Mike Wolf still own MTH Trans?
Yep, certainly does. Certainly does. All right, so I got the site pulled up. What
Hit
you?
the
Guess
hit.
you're the only one who can see the questions, huh?
Uh, I can put him on the screen for you. Hit the share button at the bottom.
Share screen.
Mm-hmm.
Choose what to share.
Then click window. It should just give you an option to pull up your window there.
Gotcha. All right. Well, looks like we're sharing the same window now.
Yep, I got you.
Yeah.
Look at all
There's a
those.
million of you.
Yes, I love it.
All right. I'm gonna make that go away.
Yeah,
So much for my claustrophobia.
pull it back off. If you already have it open in the window, click. It should be like a middle option for a window, and then click the one with your web page on it. That looks more proper.
That was the email. Uh, All right, let's try this one more time. Look at me, Mr. So not tech savvy.
I can pull it up for you. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, go ahead. Pull it up.
There you go.
Hey, look at there. Sweet.
Yeah, just tell me where you want to go, and I'll drive.
I don't know. Anybody got any questions? Let's see. Let's go to Exploder View parts diagrams. So pretty simple. Got to keep in mind when I built this website, I built it for 65 and 70-year-old people who don't understand dynamic search phrases. So I don't know. Type in Just type in 210.4. And any of those 210.4s will come back. So there's a great example. So this is what I do when I don't have an exploded view part list, right? You just see the parts individually. All these parts are specific to whichever locomotive you clicked on. I didn't see which one it was.
It's just the top one.
But there, Premier 210.4 Texas. So these are all the parts that are specific to the 210.4. If you hit your back button real quick and see where it says electronics on the right.
Yep.
So I did that specifically because, I think I made like 10 not generic, but 10 different electronic packages, right? PS1, PS2, 5-volt, 3-volt, PS3. I think there's one for G gauge. There's one for I don't think there's one for HO, but there is an HO steam list and an HO diesel list that lists out all the different Protosound 3 boards that are available for them, AC and DC and European, US, et cetera, et cetera. But those are all the electronics because either you got a mechanical problem with your train or you got an electronic problem. So there's two different lists.
I like how you gave us a big enough picture to actually see what the hell we're looking at.
Yeah, well, I'm staring at this thing on my laptop because that's where my webcam is. But I've got a 32-inch monitor that allows me to see everything.
So I noticed on some of your stuff, just when me buying my own parts, you'll have like a list coming soon. Is there any ETA on that, or is you have all of that stuff? You just have to get to it.
Look, Matt, I've got probably 35 more skids worth of parts to get through to catalog. So list coming soon is list coming when Mike finally gets around to finishing the list.
I like that. Your email thing works too. Like there's a thing that says, put your name in or put your email in and you'll get an update whenever it's listed.
Oh yeah, the wish list. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually worked. I put it in. I'm like, this is never going to work, and it actually emailed me. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it does pretty good. We're actually in fact, I've got the engineering sample for the G gauge ES44. I got to do that later this week. I'm gonna create a bunch of part numbers and a bunch of parts, put it on the part list, and none of those parts are going to be in stock, right? Because they literally just made it, and no part numbers ever existed prior to the production. So I'll put that list up there, and then people can wish list them, and then we look at that wish list about every 8 to 10 weeks. We'll pull a report and see what the top items are, and we'll reach out to the factory and see if we can get some. If sometimes like drive blocks for Rail King Hiawatha's, right? I'm pretty sure those are pretty susceptible to zinc rot when they first made them,
right?
And we blew through every Rail King drive block, Rail King Hudson drive block we could come up with that would work for that Hiawatha. We know it's a problem, but for us in the parts business to reach out to the factory and say, hey, make us 100 drive blocks, we're going to pay something like $400 a piece, right? Which means no one's going to pay what we're asking for it. But here sometime in 26 or 27, they'll rerun that Hiawatha engine, and when they do a production run, we can say, hey, we need 100 drive blocks, and we'll get them for a respectable price that we can turn around, sell them, and make a couple bucks on. Right. So things like that, things that are really more challenging from a production aspect. we just tag on to production runs and have it made if there's none in stock at the factory.
Right.
Trucks, I don't have a problem ordering 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 trucks at a time. Especially, like those Rail King Arch Bar trucks, that was a no-brainer. Just order those. A lot of guys have asked for fixed pilots. So that's something that we're studying as we do production runs. MTH really isn't doing 2-rail anymore. So, if they have the tool and we think the demand is great enough, typically the MOQ is like 200 pieces. So you just got to be careful on some of the pilots. Like we're not going to order 200 pieces of an SD40T-2 pilot that's going to work on 2 models.
Yeah.
Right. I need something that covers a much broader audience. Unless all you fixed pilot guys out there want to commit to buying like 40 a piece, then we'll make them.
Right. I was looking at your website just before you came on tonight, and I like this. Like you have your shipping rates like visibly available for people to see. It's a feasible number.
Yeah, USPS is just crazy. It used to be priority mail, right? The slogan was, if it fits, it ships for one low price.
Yeah.
It's not like that anymore. It's literally address and weight.
Right.
Even if it's a priority mail box, the prices are just all over the board. It's crazy. There's some items, like if you go to that flash sale page, I think there's some items on there that says, additional money for shipping if it's something big that it's under the $100 mark, but it's going to cost us like $25 to ship it. There's
right.
Occasionally you'll see something in there that says additional money for shipping, but that's just miscellaneous stuff in the warehouse that really doesn't have a place on the part list. Especially like complete shells. Those things are murder to stock in a parts business.
Yeah, get a lot of damage on them, I would imagine.
It's just they're big and they're bulky. I mean, we've got, I think our part storage right now is like 2,400 square feet. I don't even remember the number of locations. It's outrageous. And then we bought those boxes that have all the little drawers in it. I think those alone were like another 1,500 locations, and we're 80% full on those.
That's amazing.
Stuff like number boards and headlight lenses, stuff that doesn't belong in a big a big box, or a tote that goes on the shelf.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's like, the more I get done, the more space we run out of. It's pretty insane.
I'm looking for the traction tire list.
Oh, it's on there. You're almost there. You're on the right page.
For all you guys out watching right now, if you didn't know about this is one of the coolest things ever. You don't have to play the guessing game with traction tires, and most other manufacturers cross over to this, from what I've found. Is that pretty accurate, Mike?
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. I can tell you one thing for certain, and then I'm not trying to downplay Lionel, but I mean, as a lot of people know, I spent a lot of years there. There's a serious inconsistency with tires on Lionel trains. I mean, some you get, they're so thick that the scale ES44 ACs, the traction tires are on the innermost axles, the axles closest to the fuel tank, and they're so thick that they keep the center wheels from touching the outside rail. So the only wheels on a Lionel ES44 that actually touch the outside rails, they get ground, are the wheels directly behind the coupler.
Right.
You put that on Ross track where you've got 5 or 6 switches and a ladder, they just stop, right? They lose ground.
Right.
So, in those cases, you just use, I think it's a DE27, the MTH tires. I think that's what it is, right? For diesels, go down a little bit further. I don't know. It says all Premier diesels, but I think it's DE27. They're all the MTH tires are a consistent thickness. You put them on, they work for traction, but they also let you
DE 18.
18, yeah. So, it's just, and they work for everything.
Yeah.
The width is really the key, and the bigger you stretch it, the thinner it gets. And we buy traction tires. I think it's 30 or 40,000 of them at a time.
Oh wow,
it's crazy.
It's crazy.
And they all come from the same factory every time. They've been the same thing for 35 years.
Yeah, you talk about the ES44s from Lionel. Like, I used to tell all my friends, like, when we were getting the ES44s when they first started coming out, like, so I would just steal all the traction tires out of my MTH boxes and put them on all my Lionels, because the Lionels, like, they kind of like wobble going down through.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's ridiculous. What are we doing here? So I've been an MTH traction tire buyer for a while now.
Yeah, like I said, they're just consistent. I mean, that's the best part about them. They're always the same.
Yeah. So, are you having stock? Are you back in stock on all your upgrade kits? Is that a thing now? Accurate statement?
Yeah. So so what Dawn does typically is Dawn will put like 15 steam. I think it's steam kits are the ones that he feeds in there every week. I think he puts like 15 in a week. So people who have wish listed it, they'll get notified, and then by Tuesday they're sold out.
Yeah.
I know that Mark just ordered. Is it diesel? Give me a second. We're not screen sharing, right?
No, just my screen sharing. Right. You're good.
Let me dive over to the admin side for a second. It's just a lot easier for me to look at it from that side. Whew. Things running like molasses tonight.
So, a real quick question while you look that up. So, I'm just here looking at your DC motors for the smoke units. Are those the same motors that Lionel sells, or are they different?
They are.
They're the same.
Well, you got to be careful because Lionel's got them little short 11 millimeter tall ones, and I think ours are. Lionel's got two. They got 15 millimeter and 11 millimeter. The 11 millimeters we don't stock, but the 15s we do, and it's the steam upgrade kits. No, doggone it, I just saw it. The steam upgrade kits, there's currently none on hand, but there'll be like 15 will go in like Monday morning, and then they'll sell out, and Dawn makes the kits up. So I think the challenge we're faced with right now is we're waiting for a shipment of the TAC readers with the spacers to show up, and that's really what the holdup is on getting those kits in there. So as you know, we have boxes upon boxes upon boxes of just. I'll show you. Give me a second. I'll be right back.
Rich, I saw you ask here a little bit ago if this is the MTH Parts website. Yes, this is MTH Parts. MTHpartsandsales.com.
When I go through these parts to do the part list, right? We come up with bags of nothing but wire harnesses, just like stupid amounts of wire harnesses. So we probably have, I don't know, 100 boxes of these things. That's why we do those wire grab bags, because nobody has the bandwidth to say, oh, well, that's the PS2 5-volt from the F59PH.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows?
Right.
So I mean, literally. So I'll take the bag and I'll mark like this is Premier Light Mikado. That's where all this wiring harness stuff came out of. And then it's up to Don in Maryland if he wants to name it and catalog it, or just throw it in one of those 80 boxes of wire harnesses. So once a week he'll go through all those boxes and try and find sensor boards with or TAC readers with spacers. And if he can find them, then we'll put them in the upgrade kit and list them.
Cool.
We've got them on order. It's just you know, when you order something from the factory, it's typically 2 months.
Right.
You know, you got 2 weeks of preparation, and then they load it on whatever container of products coming, and you got that 6-week transportation time before it hits the dock in Maryland.
Before we looked at that, at that the smoke unit stuff, or the upgrade kits. What were you saying? Where did you want to
go? I don't know. You're killing
I'm
me.
killing
I
you.
don't know. That's all right. Go to service parts. All right. So here's a fun thing to do. Just type in GP38 with no dash. I don't think there's a dash in it. So that should return everything that's in the system that's tagged with GP38.
Oh, wow.
Understand that I have done, other than the exploded views that existed before I got there, that I transferred into the system. I have not done any Premier diesels or Rail King diesel part list. My sole focus has been on Premier Steam, and the great news is the last 7 Premier Steam engines are sitting in my front room. The Santa Fe Northern was 12 boxes. That was the biggest batch. I'm starting in on that tomorrow. We started on that Friday, but I'll start cataloging it tomorrow. And then I got the UPFEF, and there's like 6 or 7 other locomotives out there. So once those are done, that should be the end of all the Premier Steam kits, if you will. You know, parts for a specific Premier Steam engine that we have left to do. And then I can actually start on Premier diesels. I got a box over here that is was it 138 side frames. It's all the Premier side frames that were in stock. I got a sample of one of each, so I can put them on a board, because I know beyond the shadow of a doubt there's got to be 15 part numbers for an EMD F3 side frame. There's only 6 different side frames for EMD Jeep 38s and F3s, right? You got them with single speed sensor, 2-speed sensor. They've got different journals that come in them. And then you've got Protosound 1, where it was just one casting. And Protosound 2, they put brake cylinders on it. And Protosound 3, they put stirrup steps and leaf springs and air lines. It's like, oh, brother. Right. So I'm about to open a can of worms that I can't come back from when I start Premier diesels.
So I didn't know that this feature existed, where you could just type in like we did GP38s. I do like this. This is cool because it just everything. You don't have to search around if there's much stuff if you're trying to mix it.
So now go back up to the top. This is the part where so this system is very similar to what I built for Lionel, but the best part of all is that very top box that says filter results displayed below. Yep. This is where it beats the big L. So just type in window. See if you get any windows. There you go. And it filters it right down. Cool. So you don't have to scroll through it all. Same thing with the part list, right? If you go back to that 210-4, with all the parts listed for the 210-4 Texans, if you're just looking for a boiler front, you can type in boiler.
So it works here too on exploded view?
Yeah. Well, pick the mechanical list that you want. Now there you go. Now type boiler.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. That is useful. I didn't know it did that.
If it says, and that's the Texan. I literally just took that up I took that up the week before Amherst that we end up not going to. So those parts are in Maryland. They just haven't been assigned a location yet and put away. That's why everything shows out of stock.
So,
but if you click it, if you add one to your cart and put your name in the wish list, you'll be notified when Bill gets it put away.
So you have to, when you get these parts from Maryland, you bring them down to you're in North Carolina, right? And then you have to unbox all these, take pictures of every single part, and then catalog them, and then take them back to Maryland.
Yeah. So when I get them, It's literally just a ton of parts and a bunch of different little baggies thrown into a box. I'll go get one. Give me a second. I don't know how well this is going to work with a webcam, but we'll try it. So here's a box full of Premier Camelback parts, and this is what it looks like.
Oh my God.
Right? So I got a bag of traction tires, another bag of traction tires. I got a partially assembled drive block with side rods, pickup rollers, brake shoes. I got to take that all apart. More of those wonderful wiring harnesses. And then, you know, some of the drive blocks are bagged up and ready to go. There's 4 side rods, and they are, I guess they're left or right, doesn't matter. Some of them are left and right. Here's a bag with 4 motion hangers, but I've got 9 of these boxes, 9 boxes like this. So I got to separate it all out, put all the motion hangers together, the air pumps, the drive blocks, the brake shoes, all the stuff. Then bag those all up individually. And then I'll bring them to the computer and assign them a number and a name. And then they get photographed. They go back in a box like this. And then they go back to Maryland. And then once in Maryland, they're given a if it doesn't say 2-rail, it's 3-rail, just right out of the gate. The only time a drive block is listed as 2-rail is when it's 2-rail. If it's not listed, if it doesn't say 2 or 3, then it's 3-rail. And you can look at the flanges too. The photo should be good enough that you should be able to tell on the photo that it's got large flanges. But I'll go look it up real quick. Hang on. Go to part list. Goose. And drive block. That should be. Yeah, so that's a 3-rail. That's a 3-rail drive block for sure. Yeah, like I said, if it's not specifically listed, if the model doesn't have 2-rail and 3-rail drive blocks, then it won't be listed as 3-rail. It's just, you know, the rule of thumb is 90% MTH is 3-rail, and occasionally there's a 2-rail drive block in there. I mean, you're never going to have 2-rail in Rail King ever, so it's only ever Premier.
And you said MTH does not do 2-rail anymore?
I don't think they're doing. I'm pretty sure they're not doing 2-rail in O scale anymore. That they used to, and like I said, I've got a bunch of parts. Like if you go back to search service parts and you type in Kadee, just Kadee, and then filter with mount, or no, filter with bracket. Sorry. And that should be all the brackets for the Premier steam engines that allow you to just screw it to the tender frame and mount a Kadee coupler on it. So instead of having a 3D print or make a bunch of plastic shims and drill holes, you know, a lot of those. I mean, basically the only difference between a 2-rail and a 3-rail model is the pickups and the wheels, right? The flanges are much smaller on 2-rail than they are on 3-rail, and you know, you pick power up from one rail versus the other. Whereas 3-rail, outside rails are ground, and you got a center pickup roller. So the model itself is the same. Detail parts are the same. About the only thing that, you know, there were a lot of, and I'm not sure if MTH did it on purpose or if it was a fluke. I don't really know the history. If most 3-rail models came with that Kadee coupler mounting adapter plate or not, or if that was just, you know, part of the service parts that were left over for 2-rail models. I just don't know the answer to that. I would think if it was a 2-rail model, what would have been on there from the factory, and not a separate piece.
Would have made more sense.
Let's see what else you got there that's fun to play with.
That's just, I guess, Rich. I don't know. I have to go back and look at the list, but I don't think that's right. I think it's just the 18s. I'll have to check again. But I just got notified about this junkyard section that you have on here like 2 weeks ago. I had no idea about any of this stuff. There's some pretty cool things in here. I like this.
Yeah, again, it's the big stuff, right? I mean, it's the stuff that's just murder to put away. I mean, obviously those HO scale bodies that are there, they're not that big, but you know, I'm pretty sure I don't even have a triplex list yet. I have one, but it's just whatever parts were in the system. I haven't even tackled the HO triplex yet. And honestly, I just learned that MTH made a HO Challenger. I actually found an exploded view list and a bunch of old documentation I had from when I started this whole endeavor. I'm like, oh well, have to see if I can find those parts when I go up there.
How many parts does MTH, or how many engines does MTH do in HO? I'm not an HO guy. I have no idea. So.
There was a boatload of them. I mean, the diesels, they did an ES44, did an SD70 ACE, SD70 AH, a GP38-2, F3. I think the F3 was only in the starter sets. There's a Little Joe electric. I think I don't remember if there was a bipolar or not. But in steam engines, they did quite a few. I mean, there's Empire State Express Hudson. There's the Big Boy, the Challenger, the Triplex, the Yellowstone. There's a Mikado K4. There's quite a few. They were pretty big in HO, surprisingly.
Are they still doing HO, or have they discontinued them?
No, they sold all those tools to Shane over at Scale Trains, but he hasn't done anything with them, and I don't know. Bradley's groveling about HO, so we'll see. I told him, hey, can't be that bad. Now you got a service department that'll keep up with you, or a parts department that'll keep up with you.
That's funny.
Like, he says that HO guys always want detail parts. I'm like, well, you'll have a grade out. Just kick them over to us.
There you go. Rich ordered the drive block there, so thanks for helping out there.
Ah, cool. Is it in stock? Did Bill get it put away, or just put your name on the wish list?
I thought it was in stock when I looked it up with you, but it didn't say out of stock, I don't think.
Well, like I said, it was just part of that batch that just went up there the week of Amherst. So at least I know Bill's getting stuff put away.
Yeah. So are you guys still going to train shows?
I mean, I'm kind of an anti-York guy anymore.
Are you? That's unfortunate.
Yeah. It's really come to the point that everyone wants us to go to York so they don't have to pay shipping on traction tires. It's like, well, we're not making a lot of money and it's a lot of expense.
Yeah.
And, I look at it this way. Don and Mark live in Maryland, so it's easy for them to go to York. Easier, right? Because they go up, they do the show, they drive home, they sleep in their own bed. Me, it's an 8-hour drive. I got a hotel. I got all the expenses that go with it. And it's like, really? What, to sell upgrade kits? Because, $13 is too much to pay in shipping. Nah, I'm not going.
I feel that, man. I hear a lot of people with the bitching about the shipping and stuff. And I understand that.
Yeah, but you know what? It's crazy. I mean, we got customers that'll order a $1 part and pay $13 shipping. And it just, Hippie says all the time, my business partner, he's like, oh, we should just put this in an envelope. And I'm like, that's a great plan. But, 6 times out of 10, I never got it. Well, we'll just keep mailing it. No tracking number. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. Here. Oh, hey, look, we're all out of these. Oh, we got to order 6,000 to get more. Yeah. Guess we're never ordering those again.
Here's a question for you. I don't know if this is your area, but I'm sure you might have a good idea with your history.
No, none. Thus may have. So MTH never bought any K-line tooling at all. I mean, if you pay attention, right? A buddy of mine's opening a train store in Albemarle, and we were up there yesterday. I looked at a Bachmann catalog, and it looks like Bachmann picked up all the old K-line Easy Street tooling and the car tooling. And they also have the log dump and the coal dump car that was K-lines with the remotes. But no, MTH has no K-line tooling at all. If you want to make, if anybody out there wants to make old K-line trains, the MOQ is only 3,000 pieces, and I can put you in touch with the people at the factory if you want to cough up that much money for 3,000 tank engines. Good luck.
Oh, that's good. Again, this may not be your area. If you don't want to answer it or don't have the answer, no problem.
Atlas has nothing to do with MTH, but back when Mike came up with his plan to retire, his grand scheme was to sell all his tools, sell the building, and then retire. And it didn't go his way. And so, Rich, I think it was Rich and Doug were like, hey, we'll keep it going because, we need so many more years till retirement. So Mike sold some of the tools. The tools that they sold to MTH, the tools they sold to Atlas is still using MTH's factory, but Atlas owns those tools, right? So what do they? Don't they call it the Atlas Premier line or something?
Right, yeah.
They separate the box. The deco on the box is slightly different, but essentially it's an MTH locomotive produced with MTH tools that Atlas purchased from the same factory that makes MTH. It's just Atlas O branding with Protosound 3 in it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's essentially it's an MTH product. It's just how would I guess it's really no different than if anybody knows anything about HVAC, right? You have Carrier as one of the big HVAC manufacturers, and the knockoff brand is Grand Air. If you buy a Grand Air unit, you get it for $4,000 cheaper. It's a Carrier unit with Grand Air's name on it, without all the different layers of distribution. So I think it's pretty similar to that type of arrangement. Atlas controls all the artwork. They basically function as MTH, but they're Atlas O. And like I said, they own those tools. So, and I guess there's a couple snafus in there where, they bought some tooling were in blocks, like the ES44 ACE, the SD70 ACE, and a couple other diesels. And then, there were truck blocks that really still went to tools that MTH still owns, but yet it's a tool that it's the truck that the tools Atlas bought needs. And so, there's a little bit of hand washing that goes on behind the scenes. And I mean, it's really nothing, but if you had to wrap the company up and sell it, it would there'd be a lot of gray areas in that paperwork.
Right. I actually have some Atlas Premier line E6s should be coming in this week or next week, I'd imagine. But
I think Muffins just said they came in, or his custom run came in.
They look a lot like exactly like MTH E6s used to. So makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
I don't know. Do you want to answer tooling questions if you know them?
We can try. I mean, if not, I can make stuff up.
We can run with that.
Does they still have the tool for A2 Burke? I don't know. I mean, I really don't know what Lionel bought. Early on in the beginning of this whole endeavor, I was a consultant for MTH, and I was privy to Mike was willing to sell the tools to anybody who wanted to buy them. So I was privy to all the tools that were for sale. But I couldn't tell you whatever Lionel bought, I have no idea. What Atlas bought, I don't know. I mean, like I said, I just saw the list that were for sale, and that was it. So I don't know. I mean, apparently they bought the triplex, obviously.
Yeah, triplex, Decapod.
I don't know about the 18.
We got the Decapod from them and some other things like that. But
yeah, I mean, if you want a country barn, you can pay 5 times more for it now.
You sure as hell can. It's ridiculous.
Some of those prices, I'm like, good Lord.
I agree.
I need to get into collecting used stamps.
Yeah, I see the prices too, and I'm like, it's a lot more than they used to be. That's kind of outrageous now, but
no lie.
It's I guess it's the way it is over there, But So I do have a question. Like, when I just got this Pacific running around, MTH just released it a couple months ago, I guess. How long do you think before those parts will start showing up on the website?
It's recent production.
Yeah.
No idea.
I was just curious.
Like I said, so the way it works now, you order, or MTH orders locomotives, whatever that Pacific, right? The factory will send them some extra parts, which is essentially what I'm cataloging, is some extra parts that have accumulated from Proto 1, PS2.5, PS2.3, and PS3, right? So when I'm going through the parts, especially if there's drive blocks or brake shoes with the parts, with the steam engines, I can tell right away that there were more than one production run of them, right? Because that's like big boys, for instance. If you go look at the exploded view list for the big boys, for Premier big boys, there's one list, and as you look at the parts that are on the list, they'll be listed as PS1, PS2, 3, and it's because there's no way I can make a separate exploded view diagram for every production run of locomotives. You go down to Premier, and it doesn't matter which one you click on as long as it's Premier, right? That exploded view that's actually a PS1 big boy exploded view. But if you scroll down and go to like trucks, even just I think right at the top of the list, there'll be four-wheel trailing trucks. You'll see they're labeled out PS1, PS2, PS3, and it's really based on the level of detail, right? The PS1 versions have very limited, all cast in detail, and then the PS2, PS3 ones will have all the separately applied. There's a great example. That's got to be PS1 because it's a solid molded side frame. Whereas the next one should be one in there labeled PS2 or PS3. Even if it's out of stock, see there's a good example, right? It's got the axle contacts that came out with PS2 or PS3 to help improve ground pickup. And then I don't know if you can tell in that photo or not, but like that brake cylinder is more than likely separately applied.
Yeah.
So the details start to improve as production moves forward. Not nearly as drastically as Lionel, right? I mean, there's a lot of parts at Lionel that will never come back in stock because they've modified the tool 15 times. And there's just no way to go back to the original design. But MTH, for the most part, like if you had a PS1 big boy and you needed a trailing truck, you could buy a PS3 trailing truck for that big boy. It would improve the look and it would work just the same.
I like how you put them all together and, like it's just all grouped together. You don't have to go searching through.
Yeah, and if you go to one of those lists that don't have even that list there, if you pay close attention, everything is in numeric alphabetical order, right? So it starts with 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 through 0, and then it starts with A and runs all the way to Z. So like traction tire is always going to be towards the bottom, the brake shoe is going to be towards the top, air pumps at the top, drive blocks in the middle. It all runs in alphabetical order. And same thing with that with the part lists that don't have exploded view. Everything's in their numeric alphabetical order.
Right. Because obviously, as I'm sure you're well aware, like on Lionel's website, it's like when you look at their parts, it's just shit's just all mixed in.
If you go to a part list, it's built the same way.
Their new ones are a little bit. The new one they have is a little weird. I don't.
Well, I can't speak to their new ones. After they wrecked my system and put it in the NetSuite, I've given up.
Terrible idea.
It was a well-oiled machine until they stopped oiling it.
Yeah, I liked it when you were there. It did work well. Now it's very clunky. It does not operate as well. But now this works a lot better. It's a lot more understandable. And like you said, you made it for 65, 70-year-old guys or whatever. I feel like that works.
It works pretty good.
Maybe I'm a 65, 70-year-old guy. I don't know.
Hey, keep drinking that beer. You'll get there quick.
It does happen like that, I guess.
Wake up one morning, you sneeze, you throw your back out. It's all over.
I knew I would get some kind of remark from you tonight. So
Yeah, well,
you didn't fail. You didn't fail me, So
all right. Well, yeah, as long as I didn't let you down, we'll be all right.
no. So I've been looking at that building sitting behind you. What do you got going on back there, Mike?
Oh, I'm building a little chateau in 1/35th scale. In fact,
Cool.
I'll show you what my afternoon consisted of. Instead of looking at train parts, I cut these strips out on the laser. They're shingles, and then I get to apply them strip by strip on here.
Oh wow!
So big old part of the roof.
Is this a Trainworks project?
No, I just got bored in December and thought I'd start on it, and it's one of those things where you start it, you got to finish it because it's too big to throw away.
Yeah.
Don't ask me where I'm going to put it when it's done. I keep teasing my buddy it's going to end up in his laundry room.
It's a pretty solid project you started. And so there's a comment here, and I take for granted. I think most people know who you are, but I'm sure there are some people that don't. Do you mind going over your history in the hobby and letting people know who you are?
Yeah,
I completely
get rid of this
that process.
I'll be right back.
Wow, Newt. Wow. Dan's not switching to HO. No way.
Oh, my history in the hobby, huh?
Yeah, I skipped that whole part. I thought everybody knew who you were, and I some people don't.
That's all right. Nobody really wants to know.
Yeah, right.
Let's see. It got out of the Army, started building a train layout for a guy, and it's about 900 square feet in his basement. So I go over there every day and build that thing, big monstrous layout. And then he had the opportunity to buy some property, the most amount of undeveloped property in the county. And to buy it, he had to buy a train store. So he asked me if I wanted to, hey, you want to be in the train business? And I was like, sure. So that was 96. It was about 96. Opened up Train America and walk in and mail order business back when mail order was advertising in all the magazines.
Right.
Before the internet, really. And then 98 signed a licensing agreement with Lionel for the Trainmaster command control stuff. So then I opened up Train America Studios and we started making upgrade kits for, everything that wasn't command controlled. Did that for a while. Came up with EOB, engineer on board speed control. And that was kind of our golden goose, right? We sold that to Atlas and Third Rail, Weaver. Did a little bit of design work for Atlas O. We sold it to Atlas O. And then long story, well, let's see. Then Zahornicki called me from Electric Railroad. John Zahornicki called, and he's like, hey, how would you like to come run service at Lionel? And I was like, you're out of your freaking mind. I don't want your problems. I hung up on him. So about 3 weeks later, he called me up, and he's like, seriously, this is what we want to pay you. And I was like, oh, I'm interested. Tell me more. So started in Lionel in 2008, I think it was. So took over service, ran that for a while. Then they took me down to North Carolina in 2013 to take over production, and in 2016 I had so much on my plate. I mean, there's 61 direct reports. I ran 5 departments, and I walked into Howard's office, and I'm like, pay me more, take some of this off my plate. And his answer was, well, there's the door. So I walked out of it and said, I don't need this stress. It was crazy. So then Roger Farkash over at TW Trainworks called me up, and he's like, hey, he texted me. He's like, you can all go to hell. I'm going to Texas, Davy Crockett. So called him up, and I'm like, what are you thinking? He goes, you got a big shop behind your house. Why don't you come work for me? I'm like, okay. So since about 2017, I've been working with TW Trainworks, doing like custom layouts and um, uh, just custom layouts, layout design, building custom or designing and making custom kits and whatnot. And then Wolf called me up in it was 2020. He's like, "Hey, why don't I take all my parts and ship them to you? You catalog them, sell them, and send me money." And I'm like, "You're off your freaking rocker, buddy. No way." So then a few months later, he's like, "Well, why don't you come consult for me?" And I'm like, "Okay, my kid's starting college. Okay, I'll consult for you." So we did that. And then the consulting gig was over and I built this site. I'm like, "Okay, now all you got to do is populate it." And, Ryan would get 16 parts in a day. And I'm like, it's January and you want to go live in July. And Ryan's got 15 parts in a day. It's been 2 weeks. There's maybe not even 200 parts in here. He's like, "Well, what are we going to do?" I'm like, "Well, guess now I'm going to be a contractor." So, it's kind of funny. All the part names in the system that are capital letters, I've touched and renamed personally. Anything that's uppercase and lowercase, I've never touched it. Either the part doesn't exist or I haven't come across it yet or whatever. So, I probably updated 38,000 part records or something in a span of like 7 months. And then that was done. And it was like, "Okay, well, we're moving out of our building into this other place in Santa Clara. So I need you to come up and help us." No, 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 no. That's not right. Anyway, Ryan and Mike had a falling out. Mike calls me up and he's like, "Hey, you want to be a partner?" And I'm like, "Partner in what?" He goes, "In the parts business." I'm like, "Sure." He's like, "Great. We sold the building. We're moving. Get your ass up here. We got to put all this stuff away." I'm like, "Oh, crap." So sure enough, I had to create like, I don't know, 34,000 unique locations, count it all, put it all away, record it in the computer. So it was about 4 weeks of insanity. And we did it in like August. So it was miserable hot and there was no AC in the warehouse and good time. So, I didn't bleed, but I was sweating my off getting your train parts away.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. It doesn't sound fun at all, actually.
But it's really no different than packing up 16 53-foot trailers in Michigan myself and 4 other guys. We packed up Lionel customer service, all the parts there. We're on 16 53-foot trailers. We beat the driver back to Ohio, unload it, and do the same thing, put it all away. So I don't know that I'm really looking forward to doing that ever again.
No, it sounds terrible.
It's miserable. It's miserable. Yeah.
Got a question for you here from old Dashing Dan.
So put your name on the wish list for the Mux boards because here's a little nugget. There's 16 of them that I came across when I did what engine was it? I don't remember the locomotive, but I found, what engine was it? I think they were Penske Q2s. I had a box of boilers here that I had covered up with crap. I even forgot I had it. I opened it up and I'm like, "Ooh, Mux boards." So they're in a plastic baggie for Dawn to test. And so there should be about 16 of those going into inventory as soon as Bill opens that box up. So put your name on the wish list, and they're less likely to be made of unobtainium and more likely to be made of Chinesium.
That's good. If you run across a cab for 2102, got a buyer.
T1. Have you looked at the T1? Because there were a ton of parts with the J1s that were part of T1 parts that I just put away. Let's see. Part lists. T1.
Are you looking for that in the exploded diagram?
Yeah. Okay. Complete. 2101 with black window. One of those. Let's see if that's in stock. I don't know. Good chance there might be another one coming in stock. Like I said, I just came across a bunch of T1 parts when I was doing the T1 and the J1 share a lot of parts. The 210-4 and the 284. Put your name on the wish list is the best way. The best way I can tell you to do it. Because there's a Reading. That's a 2101. There's a number 1, American number 1. That's in stock. And there's a 2124 Reading 2124 Premier T1 cab in stock. But there's others. You know, like I said, there's never a shortage of parts. Especially, you know, I open up a bin and there's a boatload of parts, especially those the J1 210-4 and the T1 484. Those parts were mixed together, so that took a little bit of time to sort all that stuff out. But I'm pretty sure there's new T1 cabs. Not new, but I mean they're new. They just haven't been in inventory yet. They might have a part number, but until they're given a location, I can't sell them, because if I sell them, it's like, well, where's it at? It's in one of the 40 USPS boxes I brought back to you full of train parts. Good luck.
There's one for you.
Yep. Oh, great story about slave board. So when I got to MTH as a consultant back in 2020, I was up there and they had this closet across from Deb's office that they kept under lock and key. And I had asked Midge, I'm like, hey, how many slave boards do you have in stock? And she checked the computer and she goes, 1. And I asked Ryan, he goes, oh, we don't have any. And I asked Deb and she's like, I think we might have 2. I'm like, okay. So, you know, fast forward like 3 weeks, I finally got into that closet. In that locked closet was all the electronics. So I go in the closet. In the back corner of the closet, there were 6 boxes. There were 687 slave boards in stock. Nobody in the building knew they had them. I'm like, really? God. I can't tell you how many times I bought a PS3 upgrade kit to fix a powered B unit, you know, a bad slave board in a powered B unit, because I was continually told they didn't have any slave boards in stock. I was like, that's not cool.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's just the stuff we've stumbled on is just nuts. Smoke vent. You shouldn't have to get the entire. Again, I haven't done any Premier diesels. Well, I take that back. I did one. I think out there on my shelf I have the engineering sample of the ES44. It's all gray. Like even if you go to the exploded view list for the Premier ES44, it's all gray, and the part list sucks. I mean, all I had was a shell. I had no electronics, no motors, no nothing. Just stay tuned. We'll have shell parts as soon as I get to Premier diesels, and I've got 7 skids full of nothing but Premier diesel parts. So I have no idea what I've got. You know, probably have separate stacks plus funnels and visors, handrails. There's just a myriad of stuff. Side frames and you name it. God knows I probably have it. Like I said, I've got at least 35 skids stacked, a minimum of 4 foot tall, and wrapped with black plastic, just chuck full of parts that I haven't even cataloged yet. So, yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. I mean, most of the tin plate parts are put away because Ryan was an avid tin plate guy. Him and Mike were really the driving force behind all the tin plate stuff at MTH.
Right.
I'm pretty certain that all of the Rail King steam is done, with the exception of the Pinty B6. Pat was doing that. He said he's got like 5 million headlight housings and nothing else. So we really, you know, there's probably Rail King B6 parts mixed into a Premier diesel or a Rail King diesel pallet somewhere. And even Rail King diesels. You know, I know that MTH is still making Imperial ES44s. Only getting $184. Well, thanks. Appreciate it. It'll ship out tomorrow. Actually, Don will have that. Don will have that in USPS ready to go before the mail pickup tomorrow. So, oh, it's way off topic. Here we go. Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm glad you still use it. I should have monetized that. I could have been making a lot of money, but like a non-techno wizard, I didn't monetize the videos.
You did one of those videos you did with the you did a B&O GP9 for Lionel way back in the day, and you did the customer service video and had this little caps over top of the exhaust, so when the smoke came out, it just kind of threw it everywhere. Mm-hmm. And because of that video, I mean, I'm a B&O guy, but because of that video, I bought that GP9. It's on the shelf up above my head right now. But so that video sticks with me too. So
I think hands down the best video ever made was the command control or the culvert loader and unloader. Did you ever see that video?
Yeah.
Where I'm like, just like every damn accessory, you got it beating on it to make it work. I got some flack from New York for that one. You can't do that. I'm like, it's the truth. Everyone watching knows it's the truth.
You should go back to doing those videos for MTH and all of your spare time. I know that you don't have, so.
Yeah, right. I don't know how this shit works. I can't get it to do nothing.
Oh, those were good. What was the other one you did? You did expanding paste or
fastback expander paste.
Yeah, that was good.
That was food coloring and oatmeal in a can. That
was a solid video.
that was an April Fool's one, and we redid the turbo encabulator on how Legacy worked.
I don't know. I saw that one.
You remember that? When you have a chance, look up the turbo encabulator on Google. It's a video they did back in the 60s or something, and it's got a bunch of engineering oxymorons like Novatrunnions and drawn reciprocating dingle arms, and it's pretty funny.
Solid.
It's pretty funny.
That
was the only one. That was the only video I ever did where I had to write it all down on a board and use a prompter. Felt like Joe Biden.
Nice. I love it, Mike. It's solid.
No, not at all. Yes, I've been to China, and no, they don't use the same factories. It's how can I compare that? That's I can't really say anything nice. I'm not going to say anything at all. But no, not at all. Not at all.
Are you okay with answering Lionel questions since you work for MTH?
I don't know. Let's try. I don't know. Lionel,
parts question.
I'm not there anymore, so they can get as pissed at me as they want. Tell me what code numbers mean on AC Reg. Yeah, it's just different iterations of code. SO1 and O2 is TMCC1 and 04 is legacy. So 04 will respond to 9-bit code, whereas TMCC is all 8-bit code. So it's just has to do with the generation. So if you put an SO1 in a legacy engine, you're going to get one level of smoke on, not 24 levels of smoke like you do with an SO4.
Solid. See, learned something every day. I had no idea about that. So.
Oh yeah, I could teach you stuff you don't really ever want to know.
I'm sure you can. Aren't you teaching a class, like a repair class or something of that nature?
I did that with Griggs. Yeah, we filmed it. I went down and taught all his technicians the TMCC one and in the modular legacy class. They filmed it and turned it into a class in Trains Academy, and so they'll actually have a TMCC test fixture coming out here pretty soon. I helped them design that. And they're manufacturing them in house. It's pretty cool.
Are you still doing repair work on the side? I know you were for a while, a couple years back.
Yeah, not really. I mean, honestly, I've gotten away from it. It's just the quality of the board, the quality of the electronics coming from Lionel. I'm tired. I'll order an RCMC, put it in, smoke output doesn't work. Email Kristen, get an RA, send it back. 3 weeks later, I get a board that's been tested, put it in, doesn't work, no smoke. Email Kristen. What used to take me 20 minutes to fix a train now takes me 5 months. Waiting on Lionel to send me a board that actually works. So
yeah.
I'm just of the opinion that some other sucker out there can waste their time for $100 in labor. It's just not worth it.
Yeah. I was excited. Somebody told me you were doing repair work a while back, and then somebody had told me recently that you weren't doing as much. So I was like,
If it's hit and miss. If it's TMCC, I'll take it because I can do that stuff in my sleep. But if it's new RCMCs, RCMDs, Bluetooth, Lion Chief, all that other stuff, the quality of that stuff coming out of service is just. So I don't even waste my time with it. Send it somewhere else.
Since I know you do have a pretty vast, amount of knowledge on fixing engines, can you explain to me why these drawbars have problems with MTH? I've had several engines I've messed with, like they just lose connection, they don't work.
The wireless drawbars?
Yeah, like on the PS3s.
Have you used those retainers, those little square retainers on that stud?
I don't have any. I have seen them. I haven't used them though. No.
Yeah, they make a big difference, right? Because the only thing that really holds that draw on the locomotive, you shouldn't have any problem, right? Because it's so rigid. You've got the spring, you got the insulating washer, you got a shoulder screw with an insulator on the bottom, and so that's a rigid connection. And then the socket, the harness just plugs right into it.
Right.
On the tender, the only thing you really have holding that thing in, if you don't use that little retainer, is the plug, right? And you have any Lionel engines that have tethers on them with a little 90-degree connector?
Nope. No,
like an Atlantic or a Hudson, Pacific, something like that.
Nope.
Even PS1, that stuff, that those tethers will wiggle loose just over time because going back and forth, they'll wiggle loose. We sell a little. Let's see if we can find it. Pull up search service parts. Type in wireless drawbar. Now, in the filter field, type in retainer, I think it is. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, that little baby right there. Slide that thing over top of that stud.
Yeah.
And that'll hold that drawbar up against that wire harness. Because the wire harness is fixed in place on that little, how do I call it? Drawbar. If you get rid of retainer there, just delete it. Scroll down, you should see a little die cast retainer that holds the tether in place. Keep going. This wireless drawbar and plug. There's so many of these damn names. Right there. What? Right there. Wireless drawbar. Give me a second. Let me jump in the admin side. It's just easier for me to find it there.
Yeah. I've had some issues in the past with engines I've had, but I just got this specific, and so far it's been fantastic. No issues whatsoever. But
I think it's drawbar. Damn it! Oh, yeah, drawbar pin and housing is the name of it. It's drawbar, one word, space pin, the and symbol, and then the word housing. You pull that up, you'll see how the drawbar is.
There we go. I didn't like something like that. You said drawbar.
Drawbar.
Pin.
And then space, pin, and symbol, housing. There you go. Search that. There you go. So if you look at on the left, the next one down.
This one here.
Yeah, that one there. Just click on the photo. Right. So that 6-pin tether is firmly fixed to that device, that drawbar pin. Right. It's screwed down there so that no matter how hard you push on that connector, it'll never come out.
I got you.
So really, you just have a stud, right? You have a stud sticking down that goes through the hole in the drawbar. And then that little retainer, slide that up over top of there. and that should keep that from coming loose as the train's running around the track. Because you got to remember when you put your load behind it, whatever it is, right? Say it's 32-bay hopper cars with without loads. When you pull on that drawbar wants to that just because of the weight, it wants to go down, right? Because it's pulling. So if it's got that retainer underneath it, it helps keep it plugged in.
Yeah. Maybe I'll order a few of those because I do have some MTH steam engines on order besides this one I just got. So it'd be good to have a few of those. This one here has been good so far. So.
And most of them should come with that in the box, right? It's probably in the baggie,
or in a
bag with the traction tires.
I'll double check. I don't think I saw it, but I'll double check it. It's good to know, Mike. It is good to know when you come here and drop some knowledge.
Good to know. Yeah, any other nuggets of wisdom I can drop on you?
I'm sure you have plenty. I'm sure you have plenty nuggets of wisdom.
No, I got some nuggets, all right. I don't know, it's wisdom.
Oh man, that's good times. That's good times. So what else you got going on, Mike? Besides Train Works and MTH parts?
Got a little layout in the shop right now. I got a cab over Jeep I'm restoring, a 1960 cab over, and in fact I just kicked that thing over to Pat's house last week so I could make room in the shop for a layout extension I'm doing for a guy in Jersey. So I was pulling my hair out Friday, trying to solder wires to the track. I couldn't get the wires to stick for nothing. I called Mike Roeder over at Gargraves. I'm like, what the hell did you make this track out of? He's like, well, does it have a silver stripe under it? I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, that's stainless. I'm like, great. Thanks for sending me stainless track, dude. So I had to order some special flux. It came today. Compliments of Jeff. Jeff Bezos, he's got everything. And he brings it to me, too. I don't even have to leave the house anymore.
Yeah. It's quick, too, man. It's pretty quick.
Oh, no lie. So
distribution centers everywhere now. So
right. It's great. The only thing he needs to do now is start selling trains, and none of us ever leave the house again. Well, if he had competitive prices, right?
Yeah, that would be the hard part for him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, yeah, hey, Lionel, suddenly affordable.
Yeah.
Go to Amazon.
Oh man, Lionel would have a heart attack over that. But
yeah.
Do you have your own layout that you like your own layout?
Oh God, no. I mean, as you can see here, I've got a bunch of trains on the shelves. These are stuff I've acquired at Lionel over the years, and engineering samples. I'm a big Burlington Northern guy. I've got about 160 Burlington Northern cars and locomotives, and honestly, I'm about ready to just ship them all over to Scott Griggs, make space in the shop for my big 135th scale buildings.
Right.
It's just I've got too many hobbies is the problem, right? I've got guns, I got lots of ARs, I've got trains, I've got Jeeps. There's 9 Jeeps on the property. Wow. I've got soon as the FC's done, I got an M38A1 sitting out back that we got to tear into. Start doing that. It just, in fact, I just talked to Pat Saturday, and I'm like, hey, I've got this TJ here, and I bought that LS1 off you. He's got an 03 Escalade over there. I'm like, I don't want to do the work. I'm too busy doing other stuff. Why don't you give me a price for dropping that LS1 in the Jeep, and I'll just drive the Jeep over. So that's going to happen the end of the year. Nice. So it'll make driving it a lot easier if it's automatic versus shifting it with a fake foot.
Yeah, I could see that being a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I can still do it. It's just it's got 35-inch tires on it. It's just it's got a straight 6. It's sort of gutless the way it is. I put an LS1 in there, and I can start breaking Dana 35 axles, having fun with it.
It'll be fun. Yeah. I do got a question for you there. So of all the time that you were at Lionel, when you were calling the shots there, what is your favorite model that you had produced?
21-inch passenger cars.
You're funny, Mike. I know. Oh man, I see that you remember our conversation in a.
Oh yeah, I mean it's the best. That is the hottest deal on tooling that ever existed in the 3-rail industry ever.
Yeah,
and that was better than the deal I got off Joe Hader when I bought all the stuff from Weaver. Yeah, I called Joe. I heard Joe was getting out. I called Joe, And I'm like, hey, what are you doing with these tools in China? And then I found out Atlas had beat me to the punch. I'm like, crap. He goes, oh, I got all these freight car tools here. I'll make you a deal. I'm like, well, what's a deal? So he told me, and I'm like, well, that's a deal. So I drove up to Northumberland and checked it all out. And I'm in the parking lot. I'm leaving, getting ready to leave. And I said, what are you going to do with all those diesel tools? He's like, oh, you mean the RS3 and the GP38? And there was one other one, whatever, RS11 maybe, whatever the tools were in the States. And he's like, I don't know. How about another 15,000? I'm like, I bought everything else. Why don't you just give them to me? He's okay. I'll give them to you. So, I mean, the three locomotive tools that'll never be used because, some people in my town, let's put it that way, figure out how to bring chassis in from China to marry them with bodies, and they can't figure out how to paint them either. But let's forget about that.
That's a shame because we could use another GP38, But
yeah, I hear you. So the 21-inch cars. I mean, the tooling deal was so cheap. I mean, Lionel paid $1,000 a piece per car for tooling. It's unheard of.
It's crazy.
And my least favorite train ever is the Southern Pacific Daylight Cab Forward. I thought that was the worst idea in the history of mankind, and the customers ate it up, and marketing was like, oh, we're going to paint our trains, our steam engines, all kinds of colors. And I was like, oh, this is the end of three rail, so as I know it. And it has been, how many freaking rainbow steam locomotives are out there now? It's just, it's a lot of steam, a lot of dead steam train guys rolling over in their graves.
When you do a Daylight S2, that's too far. You went too far,
A Daylight Cab Forward was enough. That was horrible. I can't believe it sold as well as it did.
Here's a question for you. You can touch on it if you want. If not, no big deal.
Yeah, my drop ceiling looks pretty good.
Nothing wrong with that answer. Nothing wrong with that,
Yeah, I can tell you the truth, but nobody over there at the Big L wants me to talk about it.
Yeah, no worries at all. One of my favorite memories of you being at Lionel, you were at we talked about it in Atlanta, I think, but when you were at the Legacy meeting group, Legacy users meeting group in York, I believe, one year, whatever it was, it was 14. You're the big boys came out, the Vision Big Boys, and you stood up there and you said, "We're going to deliver them all before Christmas," and I was like, there it is. Mike Reagan said they're coming before Christmas, man. The UPS driver showed up at my house Christmas Eve with my big boy. And I was like, I'll be damned. Some bitch didn't lie.
But if I'm not mistaken, that whole shipment came in via Lufthansa or something. We flew those things in to make the deal.
Yeah, I think I remember you saying it at some point that throughout that year, like, we'll put them on a plane if we have to. And I'm assuming Lionel did pretty well on those because I think there's a ton of those out there, But
I would love to know. I would love to know between Mike's, Williams, Lionel, and Third Rail, how many big boys for three rail trains have been produced in the last 40 years?
A ton of them.
The number has to be staggering.
A ton of them.
I mean, it's just crazy. I should go to the factory and be like, look, I know you guys have made 7 million of these. I should get those drivers for free.
Let's see here. There's a great question here. This is when you were at Lionel, I'm assuming.
When I was in charge of production, quite a bit. 21-inch passenger cars, for sure. All those the disconnect log cars, and then all the different passenger cars and freight cars that we made on that chassis. Geez, oh man, just so many. Diesels. We started that whole modular diesel thing. The F40 PH. The what do we do? SD 35. We started the modular diesel deal, doing making all the different detail parts separately. Where the body was modular, you could put different cabs and hoods on it. side frames, kinematic couplers. Yeah, so pretty at the time, pretty had a pretty blank canvas. Like we could do just about anything we wanted.
That's cool.
So providing we could get a decent price on the tooling, right? That was really the deal. You know, we had some great ideas. I think we started that whole brass hybrid thing at the time. I'm like, you know, why don't we roll these boilers and save ourselves $95,000 in die-cast tool costs. And then, you know, we did it, and I was like, oh crap, you know, if we don't insulate this boiler from this frame, we're just going to create a battery. These things are going to melt. This sucks. So that was a bit of a challenge, but we overcame it. You know, the cool part, I will say the cool part about Lionel is, you know, when I was there, it was pretty much a blank canvas for innovation, right? What I liked about it is there's a blank canvas for innovation. What I didn't like about it was there's a blank canvas for innovation, right? You know, Zahornicki had designed a EUN1 and an EUN2, which is a conventional reverse unit, and they frickin' things were bulletproof. You put them in starter side engines, the motors would burn out before the reverse units quit. And just as soon as we got those things off the production line and started putting them in models, Lion Chief came out of nowhere, and they were just put in a corner and never used again. And Lion Chief took over everything. And then, you know, Lion Chief suddenly became DC, and, you know, again, blank canvas. Oh, well, let's just change the 113-year history of using AC power for 3-rail trains, and let's make it DC. We'll call it plug and play. I'm like, you could call it, you know, sleeping with your grandma. It still sucks, you know. And, you know, and then it was, oh, well, we need to make all our accessories cheaper, and they got to work with DC. Well, guess what? You know, rotating beacons don't like DC, right? They're an AC accessory. So, you got to make it cheaper. Like, oh my God, you know, let's put some more dumb marketing people in charge of the company. This is perfect. So, you know, or shiny ES44 or with SD70 ACEs in gloss. Brilliant. Let's make them glossy.
Yeah.
So, you know, there was a lot of things I didn't have control over that were frustrating, but, you know, I mean, you know, when I got to service, I was nothing but a firefighter. I was just stomping on fires everywhere. And then we finally got it to a point where I was a fire marshal. And then those videos came out because we were bored. I'm like, well, this sucks. Everything works. What are we going to do now? Let's go make some videos and goof off.
Yeah.
And that worked out really well. And, you know, people in New York, they were pissed about it because it was that whole, I mean, I think our total budget for making videos was like $87. I bought a camera at Best Buy that had a screen that would flip around so I could see myself talking, and we bought some $40 lights off of eBay or something, and that was it. You know, we made all those videos. I'm pretty sure the editing software was free. You know, something like bfunky.com or something.
Yeah, right.
we made all those videos, and I'll never forget they made that Vision Line video. You know, they flew John and I into New York, and they whisked us in the back room. And I mean, that's the first time in my life I ever had anyone try and put makeup on me. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? You know, we were sitting in those director's chairs and telling lies like, oh yeah, you know, if you buy Vision, you got a 2-year warranty and you'll get priority. And I'm thinking to myself, everybody gets priority, right? You send a repair to Lionel when I was there, and you'd have your repair back, and we'd have it for 3 days.
Yeah.
Warranty, non-warranty, didn't matter. Oh, we'll get it right back to you, blah, blah. They paid $26,000 to have that video made, and I'm like, and I'm over here in service doing this thing for $85.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Here's a solid question for you.
No. Just, you know, it unfortunately it turned out to be like 7 pounds in a 5-pound bag. So, you know, if I had to do it all over again, it would probably look a lot different inside. And, you know, when I was there, so just before I got to production, they started doing double smoke units in the trains, a smoking whistle and stack smoke.
Right.
And every time they did it, they'd spend about $130,000 in tooling, modifying the boiler tool, and then making that little lid that comes off. Like the sand dome would come off with the magnets, and
Right.
the stamping tools are cheap, but anytime you modify die cast tools, it gets really expensive. And I when I got there, I was like, hey, we got these DSMKs, these dual smoke units. Just give me a little elbow and a hose, and we'll do it that way. And they're like, well, we can't do that. We can't do that. I'm like, oh, why can't we do that? We've never done that before. Open up a big boy. Look, it's got blowdown with rubber tubes. Well, I guess we did. Yeah. So, instead of paying $130,000 in tooling changes, we'd pay like $2,800 in stamping tools to make different brackets and tubes to go places.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess the Vision Big Boy was a gateway to, again, that blank canvas, just changing the way you do things to do it more cost effectively. But there's always just been this, I don't even know what you call it. I wouldn't call it pride. There's just been this mentality of, well, we're Lionel, we have to do it better. Okay, well, better's nice, but better doesn't mean you got service parts for the life of the product, right? Better means that it was good for that year, and in 4 years you're out of parts and you can't get any more. So it's like, oh, those are expensive paperweights.
Whose idea was the depleting colloid? Was that you or one of your guys?
No, I think that was a Hornick. He came up with that.
It's a cool feature that I've used like once, or if somebody
comes over. Honestly, that could have even been Neil, right? Because John and Neil Young and John DeHornicky, they live really close to each other. I mean, Redwood City versus Santa Clara. That they came up with it. Neil's a great visionary for ideas. Even that forced coupler that they have now, that was Neil. That was Neil back in 2009.
Oh, no shit.
He wanted to do that. So it just took a long time to develop it. And honestly, I don't even know how it works. I think there's like a resistor in there or something. It's kind of like a thermistor. It changes based on the load.
And then I turn it off because I'm afraid the damn thing's going to break. I just turn the damn thing off. I have three of them. I have three
really?
Boys, and they're all. No,
I've never studied it. I have no idea how it works. I was gone before they implemented that stuff.
You ever miss Train America?
It's funny you say that. So my buddy Dean Brosser is opening a train store in Albemarle. We went over there yesterday for his soft launch and friends and family day. And he's got a great space. I mean, the place is huge, and he's got a lot of inventory to buy to fill it up. And my wife looked at me and she goes, "So do you miss it?" And my answer was, "Hell no." Hell no. I don't miss this. When I had that train store, I remember I'd be there. I'd get there at 7:30 in the morning, and I'd be there till 9 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. Just on the phone constantly, just crazy.
Yeah.
In fact, here, and answering the phone nonstop. I'll never forget. I was there one day, and I get this phone call, and I answer it. And I'm like, "Hey, this is Mike. How can I help you?" And Mike, it's Neil Young. And I'm like, "Yeah, right. And I'm Ronald Reagan." I hung up on him. A few minutes later, phone rings again. No, don't hang up. This is Neil Young. And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, buddy." I said, "I thought you were pulling a prank." He goes, "No, I just wanted to tell you you're doing a great job advertising Lionel, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks. That's cool." And then it was like, we got this concert in Cleveland, and you want tickets? And I was like, "No, I really don't like your music, but, I appreciate you calling."
That's awesome.
I hang up the phone, and my father-in-law was working with me at the time. And he's like, "Who was that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Neil Young." He goes, "Oh, what did he say?" Yeah, he asked if I wanted tickets to his concert. Well, what'd you tell him? I told him his music sucked. I didn't want to listen to it. My father-in-law lost his shit. So I call him back, and I'm like, Neil, on second thought, maybe a couple tickets would be cool. So he got his tickets, and we ended up going up to the Ritz-Carlton. We hung out with them that night. That was kind of cool, talking trains. And my father-in-law, poor guy's just drooling all over himself.
Yeah.
Can you sign this? Can you sign this? I'm like, we're not really here for that. This whole idol worship thing is garbage. So, but yeah, long story of concerts that my father-in-law got to go to because I was buddies with Neil Young. It's pretty funny.
That's funny. Here's a solid question for you. You'd have an idea about this, I think.
Boy, that's a great question. I don't know. I mean, that Blue Nami seems to be pretty cool. I have not played with it, but I watched Charbonneau's video on it,
Yeah.
and I guess uh, it was Third Rail. The new version is Third Rail. I guess Jay talked to them about putting uh, was it a chuff signal for smoke synchronization. I guess that's something that's in the pipeline.
I believe
But
so.
I don't know. I'm leery of Bluetooth. The recent Apple upgrade, especially like on my iPhone. When I come in the morning, I connect to my Bluetooth speaker and I play music through Sirius XM all day long. I come in here in the morning to connect to Bluetooth. It tells me connection's unsuccessful. I literally have to turn the Bluetooth off, turn it back on, then it'll connect. And if I do it again tomorrow, I got to shut it off, turn it back on. So I'm not completely sold on Bluetooth technology. It's kind of cool, but what happens when I really don't know. Maybe everything just keeps running status quo, but what happens when you have 15 locomotives on the track? I think you can only connect to one engine at a time. I don't think you can connect to multiple locomotives.
Yeah, I think you have to go back and click which one you want, and it connects.
Yeah, so there's some limitations there that I don't think are great. Whereas the command control is, and honestly, I've heard people tell me over the years, oh, can I have more than 99 addresses? It's like, you're clearly smarter than I'll ever be. I'm probably one of the few people on the planet who can run like 7 trains at one time off of one remote, and they don't collide into one another. But I think if everything's on its own separate loop and it's just make it run, sure, anyone can do that. But you put 3 trains on the same track on 2 tracks, that's a lot of crap to maintain.
Yeah.
And so, what are you going to do with 99 addresses? That's just, I guess Lionel's got 4-digit addressing now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sold, because when you run a train, like you got trains running in the background, right? So obviously you have separate loops and everything's just running on its own deal. But when you really want a railroad and you got multiple trains on the same track, you're really only running 2 or 3 trains at a time. Do you really need the other 97 addresses of trains sitting on a siding?
No, you don't. It's too much. And like with the 4-digit deal they have with the cab 3, I didn't buy the cab 3. I'm still old school with the old cab 2.
Yeah,
I'm very gentle with it, because I guess they don't fix them anymore. But
you'll get a kick out of this. First time I saw a cab 3, Bradley brought it to me back at MTH. We were in Maryland. He's like, what do I do with this? I'm like, oh, I never seen that before. That's cool.
They look cool, but I'm sticking with the 990, man. It works,
I hear you. Yeah, people like the remote.
It's just better.
Some people are phone people, but I'm not a fan of phone control. It's just not up my alley.
I don't mind running them off the phone. The problem is, you got to look at your phone to run them, because it's touchscreen. You can't feel anything. Yeah. And I don't like that. I'd like to just be able to have the remote in my hand and just, if I'm bullshitting or whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Anybody else got any more good questions for Mike before we let him jump off here?
Or bad questions? I take both. I'm not picky.
Yeah, we'll do any kind of questions for Mike.
No, that's a can of worms you don't want to open.
Oh man. So this is what are the chances of MTH or Lionel maybe make another remote? I know you can't speak for Lionel because you don't work there, but do you think MTH could make another remote?
I don't know. Maybe. I really have no idea. Like we did that deal through Parts and Sales, where if you got a remote with a bad LCD screen, you send it to us. And the reason you got to send it to us is we got these LCD screens that weren't the same as what MTH used in production, so they have a really long tail on them. Mm-hmm. And you can't cut the stupid tail. And so, we sent a letter out to all the ASCs, and we're like, hey, look, we're not trying to take bread out of your mouth, but I don't want to start down the path of, okay, well, we shipped you an LCD screen. What broke? It broke because you didn't put it in right. Don's about the only guy on the planet who can put them in right. So I think it's like $85 or something. Covers the shipping and the labor and the part. So, if you got an LCD screen that's dead, you got a remote you want to bring back to life, send it in. We'll replace the screen. We'll upgrade it to, 6.0, 6.1, whatever's out there now. Upgrade it, test it, make sure it works, and kick it back to you. So if you got dead remotes, we can bring them back from the dead for the most part.
Oh, shit. That's good to know.
Yeah. There's all kinds of nuggets of knowledge here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, oh, here you go. That's a pretty good question. I like that one.
Nope. Nope. Sorry.
Is there any engine that you wanted to make that Lionel maybe told you no, or you couldn't get it done money wise or whatever?
No, not really. Not really.
Before I let you off, I got to get your thoughts though, because I think we're pretty similar on this. Vision Line used to be awesome, right? With the CC2, the Gevo, the Big Boy, the Challenger, all the early Vision, the 210-10-2, all the early Vision was phenomenal, had great features. But now it's like it's on a rinse and repeat and put a cool steam engine in a black box because we're out of cool shit to do.
Yeah.
Do you think the Vision Line name is dead? Like it should be dead because like we can't do anything else that's visionary?
Yeah, so the whole concept of Vision from the get-go was let's do stuff. Let's do cool stuff that we can't do in regular production, right, for a price point. So we'll put it in this black box. We'll make it more expensive because we're going to do all this extra shit. We're going to make a smoking whistle. We're going to do blow down and all those features that are pretty standard in regular production stuff now exist because of Vision.
Right.
But like the GP40, I mean, the walkway lights really justify that price increase. Like, maybe if you run your trains in the complete dark and you don't want your plastic engineer figure to fall off the train when he walks back to check the coupler to make sure that it's not drooping. I don't know. But
right.
It's like some of it's what more can you do, right? You're going to have the engineer pull on his Johnson bar, but only if he has a tender behind. It's like, who cares?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll never forget. I told Jim Weaver that one time. Jim was the project manager over at Atlaso, and I had TAS, so I worked I got to know Jim pretty well. And we were selling them EOB, and they were doing that steam engine. Was it a 260? I think they did. And we had to actually physically redesign the EOB board to fit in the tender. And I said, Jim, it'd be cool if you put a little piece of nichrome wire in there that would get hot when you went into reverse, and the engineer would, pull on the Johnson bar. And Jim, without even thinking, he's like, well, only if he's got a tender behind. And I was like, okay, this conversation's over. Thanks.
Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic.
He was a riot.
I will say about the GP40s, I got 3 of them on order. I ordered the gold chassis, a regular chassis, and then the B&O custom that
and they're all Vision?
Yeah, they're all Vision. Then
okay.
And yeah, they are. That I wasn't exactly thrilled about the price increase, but even their ES44s are very expensive now, So I was like, it is what it is, and
yeah.
I just kind of like them, and if they're not Vision, they're not Vision. But
yeah. The nice thing is the Fed's printing more money every day, so
that's right.
Give them a call, tell me he needs more.
Yeah, I need some more. More of these damn trains out here, But,
that's right.
All right, Mike, I'll let you go ahead and jump off here, so we don't take up any more of your time tonight. I know you're going to be probably quite busy tomorrow with boxes of parts and such. So, and a chateau that you have no plans for. But,
that's right. Well, I don't know. Who knows?
I do appreciate you coming on and taking the time to walk us through the website a little bit and give us some good stories from the past and just drop some knowledge on us tonight. So
yeah, right on. Well, thanks. It's good being here. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, and I'll probably holler at you sometime this week or something.
All right. Hey, feel free to scream my name in vain anytime you want. I can hear you.
All right, Mike. See you, bud.
All right, buddy. Thanks.